Hey guys, and welcome to the Dojo. This is Nathaniel Platier, followed with Ton and Alien Teven, and we're going to be talking about Brigitte. Hopefully we say the name right throughout the entirety of this podcast. We may mess up, so if we do, please don't kill us like you did with me with Moira. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started.
Alright, welcome guys. Say hi, Ton.
Oh, hello everybody.
Okay, so we are here to discuss Brigitte. And so I'd like to ask your impressions on her. What do you think about her?
You can go first, Nathaniel.
Well, she's a fun hero. Needless to say of anything else. She's very fun and she feels rewarding. As a tank, she feels rewarding, rather. Her heals feel very, very low right now, unless they tweak her a little bit more. But she is a fun character, and especially as someone who's always played healers and tanks, just having a hybrid role that can do both feels really good. But I do feel that she does need some minor tweaks.
I mean, for me, I've done some testing on the PTR with Quick Play, doing 6 stacks with the community, which thanks again. Shout out to everybody who helped me out with the testing with Brigitte. I deeply appreciate it. And she is a great hero to play. She is fun. She's definitely a different kind of... I like the melee style she has, so it's nice to have another melee character in there other than Reinhardt and Doomfist. So that adds a different kind of play style to it. I do agree with Nathaniel that her healing aspect is kind of lacking. She does feel more like a tank character, but yet she doesn't act like a tank character because she's somewhat too squishy to me, and we can get into that later. But I think she's a rather interesting character to have, and I think it's a great addition to the roster with several tweaks, like Nathaniel said.
Yeah, I would say that she is really interesting, and I really like how Blizzard is playing this game, adding characters that are really special, in a case that in other games when you are playing support, you are usually logged into a healer role. And this is something different, but I think this is also dangerous, just because players tend to mispick and misjudge the usage of these characters, so to say. So sometimes they can think that, okay, because she is displayed as a support, then it might be a good idea to run her as the main support or the only one. And she is clearly not capable of doing that.
No, not at all. That's one thing that's going to be interesting to see how Blizzard changes her to fit more of whatever role they're really wanting her to be.
I think it's a good concept of a hero, but I don't think it was... Like, it was planned out, obviously, but I think there are fine-tuning where... It wasn't thought out exactly how she was going to fit in. I think she's going to be a very niche hero, and that's not a bad thing.
No.
We need more niche heroes that can fill specific needs, but not mandatory.
Yeah.
But I do think right now, as she stands in the PTR while we're recording this, I think she is very niche. She can perform her role very well. But it is dependent on maps or team compositions and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of redact some of these things and maybe focus her to be a little bit more better at healing or protecting supports a little bit better. Maybe a wider shield, I don't know. But I think that she feels... good, but kind of incomplete at the same time.
I agree to that because they are trying to combine like a tank and a healer, and that's cool. I really like that. That would be something neat to have and unique, but as we said before, she does not fill either one of those roles really well, so you're right, she is more of a niche pick. Niche, is that right? Niche pick.
Yeah, niche.
So it's just sad to see that that's going to be the case because, as you hear Jeff all the time, we want everybody to be playable. We want everyone to be able to be picked at any point in time. So I can see them trying to mess with her enough to make it to where she's more of like, I can pick her if I need to and not be forced to pick. You know, I have to pick Lucio or Zenyatta. I can pick Brigitte as a substitute. And I can see that happening because that's been their, like, their march or whatever to try and get heroes working in the game. So it's going to take a lot of interesting fixes and tweaks to make that a possibility, in my eyes.
Yeah, and they are already tweaking her. Just a few days after release, she got patched in the PTR, so I think we are going to see more of that. They are really using the PTR to test her before releasing it on the live server, so I think that's all right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's just quickly go over her kit, because she is really unique, as Jeff always says about every hero, that they are being unique. We are all unique. Okay, so yeah, she is a melee character, and I think that is special in her usage, because there are a lot of counters to her. But the rocket flail, I think that's how it's
rocket
called.
flail. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's like she wanted to go for a hammer like Reinhardt, but she couldn't handle it, so she made something else. I think it's funny. It's kind of a ranged melee type, but the damage is really low, I feel like.
Yeah.
If I remember this correctly, Nathaniel, and correct me, I remember reading your little stat sheet that you sent me. I think it's roughly around 35 damage, or maybe that's...
Yeah, it's 35 damage per hit.
Yeah, so, and I mean...
And it heals 80 health over 5 seconds.
Which is about 16... It's about 16 HP per second, so it's not a great healing range for the passive, which we can get into more detail later, but with the rocket flail, it reaches out about 7 meters, I think is what it said, if I remember correctly.
6 meters.
6 meters. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting weapon, and I like it. It has more of a closed range than Reinhardt's 180 hammer, so that's a different thing that we haven't seen before with melee weapons, is a more close quarter with that. And so, I really like the design and the idea of having a flail as your weapon, and I think everybody else does too.
Really fast. Branching kind of off topic, but not really. My biggest gripe with her as a healer I guess, is that for you to really get a lot out of her healing, you have to hit people and stuff, so you have to be engaged into the enemy, but the payoff isn't very good for it. Like, if you're in that deep and you're having to hit all those people, you would feel like it would be a better heal than Lucio's standard unamped healing.
You would,
because you're barely keeping yourself alive with that alone. It would, I guess it would be better if they amped the healing up, but but had a cap to it maybe, so that it wouldn't get overpowered. But for her to have to, it'd be a necessity for her to attack things to get standard healing without using her repair kit or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It feels incredibly underwhelming.
It's kind of
it
almost
feels like you're barely doing anything.
It's almost like Moira's biotic grasp. In order to recharge your healing, you have to do damage, which is an interesting concept when she first released. But it makes more sense with Moira because she has a longer distance with her damage, so she can easily be a good ways away and get damage, so she can get those heals back, so she can continue doing that. You're right, with her, you put in a lot of risk to get that healing, but you don't get a lot of payoff, which is one thing I hope they do fix, and we can mention later about changes that we would like to have to her. So, but I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a special case for her passive that can be really beneficial, as I feel like she is designed to be a counter-dive character. And if you are being dived and you have access to some kind of healing, it makes your life much more easier, because the situation is that your supports are being jumped, so you are cut away from healing. And if she can be there to peel for her supports, then she is not that dependent on being supported while doing that. So that might be the best usage for the passive. Because being aggressive with her is not, I don't think it's the best way to play.
No, it kind of counters the idea of her, because you're supposed to be protecting your squishies and your supports, but you can't heal them unless you're in the
fight,
in the fire and stuff like that. Yeah, so having to protect everyone and like being in the back line with your supports or wherever they are, like if that relies on them coming into your supports to be effective. So that's really low healing, unless you did go like DPS and then you're not doing your job right. So it feels like it's kind of a useless ability almost with the healing aspect of that. It's cool in theory, but not in practice, really.
It is very different.
Yeah.
But speaking of healing, we'll move on to our next ability, which is the repair pack. And that's where you get a majority of her healing. That's like her big heal, which is the one that heals up 150 HP. And then if it overflows, which is something we haven't seen before, where it overflows on heals.
Yeah.
And I love that. And it gives you, I think, 75 armor to overheal. So I think that helps really well with like divers. So like you have your squishy like Tracer or your Genji diving in, you could chuck that pack on them. It lasts for roughly around, I think, 5 to 6 seconds, and then it disappears. But that should be long enough for them to go in there, do some damage, and still survive to come back and whatnot.
It can be also used to save your squishes. I mean, if you run a Zenyatta, for example, having a low health pool, it can help a lot. But it is not an effective way to heal. So that's why I'm concerned about her ability being...
It's not effective the way it is because it's only one pack for every 6 seconds.
Yeah, that's what... I don't know about you guys, but I thought that... I was thinking before that it may be good for it to have like a stored up ability, kind of like some of the other heroes where you can have like a resource and you can have up to like maybe 2 or 3 at max. Kind of like how Mercy did with the resistance thing, but like being able to like store up to 2, I think 2 would be a good amount.
See, that's
but to not be able to heal the same person off a cooldown and stuff like that, so you can't just keep doing it on a Winston when he gets like 150 low. But to like be able to do it on multiple people, like maybe a max of 2 times, would make her maybe feel like a better healer.
I feel,
but one of that just feels very, very small, or at least lower the cooldown maybe, but it just is underwhelming.
It is.
Just the amount of heals that you can do with her.
Because my biggest question is, if Torbjorn can have 4 armor packs, why can't she have 4, repair packs? Like, did Daddy keep that secret away from daughter? Like, I don't get that, Torb. Why would you hide that secret from her? So... I agree with you. She needs to, like, if she could recharge, like how Junkrat's concussion mine comes up, or like how Torbjorn's able to get like armor packs and something like that, so where she can have them stacked. I feel like that'd make her more viable as a healer. That'd help her out in the healing aspect. That way she doesn't have to depend on, let me swing around this flail and pray that I get somebody hit so I can do my 10 heal every second. But but I agree. The repair pack is nice, but it's not the most useful healing tool that all the supports have.
Okay, she also has a barrier shield with 600 HP, and she keeps the movement speed, if I'm right, when she's using that, so she can actually protect only herself, basically.
Correct. Anybody, people can stand directly behind her and be protected by it too. So.
Yeah, I think that adds a little bit of a skill cap to her, or a skill, skill ceiling maybe. So you need to be good with your positioning if you want to save your teammates from abilities and direct hits and stuff like that. So I like that one.
Yeah, the barrier shield's really nice because you can use it to help protect, like if your support has to peek out for a second to, not like get somebody healed like your Zenyatta or your Ana, you can step out with that barrier shield. It's like a moving ice block. So it does help out in the sense of protecting your team in those instances, and it's really nice.
Okay, so on the other hand, it can also be used to block the line of sight of your enemies and maybe body block them. So I think it adds a nice layer on her kit. And she also can use that to shield bash, which I think is cool.
Oh yeah, it's really nice. The shield bash is the most annoying thing I feel like she has. Like every time, like you just go in there and you just get immediately bashed and then you're stunned. And so I think that's the most important tool in her kit at this moment is that shield bash, and that's what helps you secure either getting the flankers off or keeping yourself safe, because as soon as they see that the shield bash is used, they might dive in and wreck you, but that shield bash is what helps you and your healer or your healer buddy, or like it gives almost your tanks the time to peel back and assist. It gives you a split second, which sometimes is the difference between death and living most of the time.
I think that just because of this ability, she might be played because the cooldown is just 5 seconds and you get a stun for that. A stun that can cancel shields, that can cancel abilities, that can get anybody who is not paying attention. So that can be really strong in the right hands. I mean, if you're playing in a solo queue environment, you are not coordinating that much, but I can imagine situations where tanks are working with Brigitte and they are coordinating in a way that makes her work easy to stun anybody from behind shields. And maybe they are just going there getting picks one by one. So that would be really nice to see.
I mean, just following what you were saying, like with the stun, like I'm not going to go into like full synergies yet and stuff. We'll do that later. But like just the very first thing that I saw when on the PTR was shield bashing a Rhine to stun him, and then your Rhine earth shattering. So just the utility of that and being able to disrupt ultimates like Reaper or any kind of channeled abilities is going to be very, very useful.
Yeah, I have really high hopes. Okay, she also has a whip shot, a linear projectile, basically, doing damage. I don't really like this ability. It adds to the DPS of her, but I don't feel that it fits her kit. It feels like it's something that they added just to have enough abilities.
The thing I see with the whip shot, and the only reason why I think they gave her this ability, because they are wanting her to protect the supports. So what it could be used for is to boop the tanks away far enough to where they can't affect you. Or like if I mean, you could probably use it to stop a Winston, you know, from getting in too close, and you could boop him back while your Zenyatta backs out or your Ana backs out. And it can also be used, in my opinion, to secure kills. Like if a Genji dives in and starts taking a lot of damage and they want to get out, and while they're running away, instead of Roadhog hooking them and bringing them back, you can just whip that sucker out and kill him.
Yeah, so using the knockback can be really, really useful in those situations. Yeah, I can imagine that a monkey is jumping towards your supports and you just whip him in the air, pushing him back, basically wasting his jump. So in that regard, yeah, it's more for utility than for raw damage.
It's more of kind of like a crowd control type thing.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like it's almost redundant, almost of an ability. Like it feels like they could have easily done that for the shield bash, almost like a Lucio-styled boop, where it's not like long-range boop, but it feels like it should have just been that, and maybe to give her maybe a movement ability, like instead of the whip shot. But it just feels kind of like it was thrown in there, like you said, Alien.
So yeah, I mean, that's how I see it. It's just like securing those kills and booping certain people away. So like if you look you could probably look ahead if you're standing back and you see maybe one of your tanks being bullied by like, you know, like a slow-moving tank or a slow-moving DPS. You could probably boop the DPS enough to where they miss their shots maybe. I could see that being used in a situation. Since it is 20 meters long, we got another Roadhog hook situation. I mean, it's a neat tool, but I do agree that it is kind of weird in how it's supposed to be used with a support. Again, it's another one of those abilities that feels kind of tanky, if you ask me.
It feels kind of like they retconned the ability slightly and were like, oh wait, she does feel like she's having to go straight into the enemy to heal her team. Let's give her something so that she can maybe attack one enemy that's far away and heal a little bit of damage. Like it feels like that. It's like it's just thrown in there so that she can heal slightly. Yeah. When she's far away from enemies.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
Okay, and the ult is Rally, giving everybody 150 armor for 10 seconds. So it's 30 armor per second.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it seems cool, to be honest.
I like it actually. Yeah, I personally like it.
I think it can be a good ability to break chokes. It can be a good ability to repel big pushes by the enemy. So you need to have a little bit of time setting up. So your team needs to be coordinated. She gets a little bit of movement speed, but only she. So that can be used to get in range of your team, making sure that everybody gets the armor they need.
And the fact that the health stays even after the ultimate ends is a great
That is the biggest thing that I think is really nice about that. I wish they did that with the repair kit, is that those shields stay. And that's kind of OP with certain characters in the game, especially ones that have shields beforehand because of how the stacking goes with shields and armor. And so it's really nice to have that. If you can, like you said, Alien, charge it up before you dive in. Certain tanks are other characters will be a little bit more survivable with that rally being up and going.
Yeah,
So.
and it can be used really effectively to counter some of the heroes in the game, because if anybody who is shooting a lot of shots, like shotgun shots or like the auto rifle of soldier, it is being countered by armor. And if you are able to pick her just because the enemy runs these kind of characters, I think it can have a really great impact for that team fight where you are activating this. And I think it goes over Torbjorn's armor, so you can add these up.
Yes,
it does. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
So you can have armor for days. New meta.
All right. So yeah, regarding the play style, let's continue with that. So we talked about her being useful for countering the divers, peeling for her supports, and being there to give a helping hand to anybody who is in need. Any other ideas about how she could be played?
You want to go first, Nathaniel?
Sure, yeah. I feel like she does. That is her main purpose, and she's very good for that. But she does, as she is right now before any changes to her ability so far, I feel like she is very good on attacking or King of the Hill maps, just due to her range and being able to dive in with that. Her ability to provide armor, to push into chokes and stuff like that is incredible. She is good with defending supports, yes, but I do feel that she fills a very niche spot for attacking anything that has like heavy choke areas. I think she'll be pretty strong on that, especially with her ultimate ability. So I personally feel that she can be very good on attacking roles.
I guess I could see that. That's not where I've been most successful with her, but then again, I'm no pro at this, and I don't think anybody really is because she's only been out for like a week. So, but I can see, King of the Hill for sure. She's been freaking crazy on that.
Yeah,
like every time we played a King of the Hill map, it was just, she was able to just sustain everybody really well because you have to get on the point. I know it's crazy, guys. The objective's how you win the games. So, but I kind of disagree a little bit with the attack because that then enforces the fact that she needs to be attacking almost, and in order for
that's what I'm saying. Like her kit almost disagrees with each other.
I know
but
it's just
how her abilities are kind of focused too at the same time.
Dag nabbit, Jeff. So, but every time I played her in the 6-stack that we did, I did more of like a defensive role wherever I was in the back line, and that's where she worked the best for me, was on a defense type of status, and sometimes on attack. But on defense, I would usually sit back with like the healer or whatnot and help out with that. And she worked really well with like a quad tank. Like I guess that it would be normal. But I mean, we rolled with like a Roadhog or Reinhardt and a Diva, and we did pretty good with a Lucio and a Moira. I mean, you just had that AoE healing all over the place. But she is definitely more niche, like we said, at this point in time where she is at the PTR. And unless they change some stuff, she is just going to be picked based off of either she could counter dive. I can see that. That is definitely a thing that could happen on the defense end and probably on the attack end, depending on how aggressive the team is with their dive. It's just so difficult to predict that at this point in time. But I do agree that it's probably going to be more counter divers where we'll see her at this point in time where she is at the PTR right now, unless Jeff says otherwise.
Yeah, I can imagine she being used in teams that are being really aggressive and building around the fact that she can stun every 5 seconds. So that can be really strong. I'm imagining something like Orisa forward shield with a Zarya barrier, and she just goes in and, stuns your main support and you're dead. Or goes over the DPS and do something about it. I mean...
She can't work in those aggressive really compositions very much. Yeah. So I had one game where I was playing in quick play and we were going against one that had a Reinhardt, a Brigitte, and a Moira, and they would literally, those three would just stay together and just keep diving you, and then every once in a while a Genji would pop up or a Diva, and then the Widow would snipe you in the back. It was ridiculous. So yeah, if you're overly aggressive with her, like any other character in the game, you'll probably do really well with her, and especially with that AoE heals. That's like if you just keep swinging and nobody really targets you, you will live forever. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Synergies then. So I see her being able to give armor for low HP heroes can be a great thing, and I think that's one of the best things that you can use that heal for. To salvage a Zenyatta who is about to die, or to support your Genji or Tracer who want to jump into the enemy team. Yeah, and she can peel very well for her support. So Ana and Zenyatta, who tend to stay back, will have a lot more easier time doing their job, I think. Just because she's around.
Yeah, she'll be like the Zenyatta will be able to be floating a bit more freely, not have to worry about being, I don't know, immediately destroyed by the Winston in certain cases. But another synergy that I think is very interesting, and is just based off of how her ult works, is Zarya. Because with Zarya, as soon as you rally and you give her those 400 armor, it's ridiculous, because she has 400 shields already, and then she has 400 armor, and then she has... Or is it 200 shields? I think it's 200 shields. I went crazy there.
150.
Or is it 150?
Yeah, it's 150 armor.
Well, no,
It would be ridiculous to give 400
that's
armor.
I can't get these. I'm bad at math, guys. Just roll with me here. Anyway, it's stupid OP how great that is, because I went against one that Zarya had all the armor from the rally, and it was too hard. It was difficult to get her shields down, and then you got to grind through the armor, and if you stop too long, the shields regen, and it's like, dag nabbit, I got to go back and get those shields down.
Because the shield is stacked on top of the armor, which makes it rather dangerous.
It is, and characters like that, like Symmetra or Zenyatta, it's just those kind of characters can benefit really well from that armor, and so it's insane. I'm not saying go play Symmetra, guys. I'm just saying characters like that, it's kind of interesting and OP that happens.
Yeah, stacking armor is also a really good tool against Sombra, if we want to go for the counters, because Sombra can't really hack your armor, can't take it away as she can take away the shield.
So that could help save your Zen in the same instance too if there's a big EMP. And so instead of your Zen being down to 50 health, they could still have, they're roughly 200 health, but 150 of that is armor. So that's true. That's true. I can see that working out really well.
All right. Any other synergies that you can think about?
Obviously, what I already mentioned, obviously, of her stun is really going to be her bread and butter of her abilities, I think. And being able to stun an ability for your Reinhardt to Earthshatter, or any of your allies to fulfill their abilities, maybe even McCree getting off his high noon, blocking disrupting the shield as soon as he pulls it. It will require a lot of teamwork, but having an ability that can stun just that fast on such a low cooldown is going to open up a lot of abilities. And it's like a mini. It can't be blocked by shields and stuff, so it's so good.
It's more powerful than McCree's
almost better
stun,
than McCree.
Yeah. I mean, if you go together with these ults and you discuss that you need to stun the diva as she tries to get on the ulting McCree, or you need to stun the Reinhardt as she stands there, I mean, you can just basically go kamikaze into the enemy shield, because it will get you a really great reward, even if you die. If that Deadeye hits through the blocked shield, I mean, that can be great,
and before we get a stun meta, where we have Brigitte, Sombra, and McCree.
Oh yeah,
then we got
that'd be terrible.
I can imagine.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Oh Lord, now we're predicting stuff. This is great.
Okay, so how about the counters? She being melee, that means that Pharah and the sniper characters will counter her easily if she is not setting up well.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, I think the biggest reason why Pharah is good is, one, she is in the sky, but also her AoE. If you shoot around the shield, I mean, it still does the damage. So it's not like Reinhardt's shield where it can kind of block off even if she misses. She can still miss off to the right a little bit of the shield and still damage you. So all the shield really does protect is literally what's in front of you. So that's what I can see.
Yeah, and I don't think that it touches the ground, or does it?
It does touch the ground. I tested this with Baggins, and it does block like Earthshatter decently. Okay. So it does do that. So you could use that to sacrifice yourself. So
I think Sombra is also a great counter, because if you are being hacked with Brigitte, you can't really do anything. You can just use your basic attack, but that's it. And I think anything that has a good damage output, like Junkrat or Farah, and maybe Roadhog, is actually really dangerous, because if you pick her, you are not getting a lot of healing. So that's why I said I think she is more fit into the off-tank role, because if you get her for the support, that can be abused, I feel like, by these high damage output characters. And also, if you are facing Roadhog, he can destroy the shield, I think, in 2 or 3 shots, and then get a hook off easily.
Yes, and then you would take out the shield bash too. So, but that would work, yeah. And whenever I was 1v1ing Baggins, a smart Brigitte, I would hope and pray, would not get their shield destroyed, because that is the one thing that will save you from a Roadhog hook. In all honesty, you would rather get hooked by the Roadhog and then shield bash him and then whip him and then run the heck out of dodge. Like that's something that you want to do if you see a Roadhog. Don't let him destroy your shield. He is a good counter. He's more of a soft counter, in my opinion, if we're doing it with like an intelligent Brigitte. So Junkrat for sure is a good hard counter, just because of his mines. And his mines, you just shoot the Brigitte up, then you can get underneath, shoot up some bombs, and then place another mine down and kill her. It's great.
Okay, I think lastly we should talk about the comps that fit her, because we already talked about how she could be used, but I think that she can be fit in a slow comp, mostly, just to protect the healers and maybe get aggressive, as we discussed, to break chokes and stuff like that. Any other team comps?
Triple tank, as you already said.
Yeah, triple and quad tank.
Filling the role as the third tank for triple tank.
Yeah.
As you said. So.
Yeah, triple tank, even quad tank can become popular again.
Oh yeah, quad tank's been used a lot. Yeah.
If anyone plays a Reaper or a Farah, maybe a Sombra, they will have a good time if these comps pop up again.
Oh yeah, no, everybody will love that. She could be used really well in those quad and triple tank situations, I believe, if they do come back in certain comp games. So that's one meta I could see her working really well with, along with the slow comp, especially if it's an aggressive slow comp, like I said earlier, with like a Reinhardt and a Moira. I think we discussed earlier, counter dive, she could work fairly well in that kind of a meta. I don't know who I would have her replace in that meta.
Yeah, so that may be the only case when I would run her as a support, because you can't really use the secondary support usually for the divers. So maybe to stay back with her and protect anybody who lags behind the front line.
I could see that.
Kind of maybe fill the role that Lucio kind of does as a healer. So. And she also has that AoE anyway. So.
But would you want to sacrifice the speed boost for what Brigitte will bring to the table? That's one thing I see a lot, is that people use Lucio for that speed boost to get in there. And then also Lucio can just run around and help heal everybody where they need to, whereas Brigitte is still stationary. So that's kind of where... That's what sucks, is that she really doesn't like replace anybody that well. So it's... Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see Lucio being put on the bench and Brigitte put in. So I agree to that one.
All right.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, it'll depend on what Jeff does to all the changes and stuff like that, what the Overwatch League maybe does, what we see with the pros utilizing. It took who knows how long for Sombra to become useful. It became even longer for Orisa to become somewhat useful, and that's coming from an Orisa player. So I think it's going to take a while to see what changes happen. I'm hoping there's going to be significant changes to make her feel like she can replace something. But I think it's possible. I think it's a very unique hero, and one that everyone can agree that she's fun to play, but we just need to see how she'll fit in.
Yeah, I agree. So we think that Brigitte can be a really interesting addition to the hero roster, and we will see how she plays out, and it is mostly dependent on how she's going to be used by the pro gamers and what the community can figure out. So I have my hopes up for her.
I think we all do.
All right. Thank you everyone for your attention. And as usual, if you like what we are doing, you can subscribe to the channel. We are really thankful if you share our videos, and we are really interested in your comments about Brigitte or anything that is in connection with her. So leave a comment below for the video. And as usual, we are waiting for you on our Discord server, so you can join it. And we also have a Patreon if you want to support us or get coached. And that's all. Thank you guys, and see you next time.
See you guys.